Here I am 1 year later remaking this video, and I didn't think I was gonna have to do this. But after spending 1 year here in Kenya, after I noticed the way how the audience seems to tune out the most, this is the second time this has happened when I'm in Africa, is that I realized that Black American men, because that's the majority of my audience, do not like African women. I don't give a damn how many countries I go to. I don't care what I do. The slightest light-skinned Latina, Eritrean, as long as she's not brown or dark skinned, these motherfuckers will worship her. And I made a video about this last year about self-hatred amongst the Black community and wanting to be accepted. And that's the reason why we favor Asia and Latin America. And even you guys would even go get 30 of your teeth knocked out by the neo-Nazis in Eastern Europe before you come somewhere where people are actually gonna welcome you at home. So I'm saying that to say that I have to travel again. And we could say, oh, it's because, you know, the content is redundant. You know, you've been talking about Kenya too much. I be reading y'all comments. Y'all don't like Africa. Y'all say Africa has slow internet. They have 100 up and 100 down here. Some internet better than what I had when I lived in Dallas, Texas, and it's cheaper. There's a lot of stuff to love about being in Africa, but you know what? I'm gonna give you Black American men what y'all want. And I will go back to Latin America for a short period of time. I won't be there to live. I'm gonna go there to just show you guys, and I want you guys to look at the difference in the comments and the views and the critiques of Latin America versus Africa. If you're a Black American man, you hate yourself and you hate African women, make sure you give this video a like. If you like yourself and you like African women, do not get this video a like. I wanna see how many likes this video get. Probably get a fucking million. I'm Austin Hollerman. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. We're getting back on the road.
What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank, and I was watching Austin Hollerman because he had a video that said African American men don't like Africans, and he made a video and he was saying basically that Austin Hollerman is one of the most famous passport bros. That little passport trend of the people just figuring out that you can get a passport and go somewhere, right? So Austin Hollerman is saying that he doesn't get the same amount of viewership, you know, in Africa. You know, his subscribers don't actually like to see like dark-skinned women or African women. It's kind of boring, right? And what I noticed is I think he may have kind of like misunderstood. Like he kind of like, I think what's happening is Austin Hollerman is in a situation is where what he's trying to do now, like the crowd he's trying to entertain, they didn't come here for what it is he's giving them now, right? You see, when Austin Hollerman first started, he was entertaining people who like to see Black guys go to other countries and have sex with women, prostitutes, all right? Because passport bros are men who figured out that they can get on a plane and go have sex with prostitutes real cheap. Because these men have hard times getting in relationships in America, right? They're Black men who have a hard time relating to Black women in America. Some of them are very socially awkward, you know? Like Austin Hollerman is very socially awkward, right? And because he's socially awkward, he doesn't have the best time, you know, when it comes to African American women, right? So what they do is they go to countries like Brazil, countries like Dominican Republic, like Thailand. They go to these Asian countries where you don't need to have charisma. You just got to have money, and you can pay for prostitutes to give you the girlfriend experience. That's what it is. Military has been doing this shit for thousands of years, okay? I know all about these places that these passport bros go to because these are the places that military people go to. And the reason why the passports probably even exist in the first place is that their military buddies have told them, hey man, if you go to Thailand, you can get a woman, pay $25, you can have her for the whole night because American dollars go far in Thailand, right? Or you can go to Brazil and you can get an exotic Brazilian woman for the whole night for this amount. Or you can go to Colombia and get the girl. It's called the girlfriend experience. So in these countries like the Dominican Republic, Colombia, Thailand, all the countries the passport bros go to, there's a sex industry there where women wait for men to come from America with their money, and what they do is they sucker them and they take their money and they give them the girlfriend experience. Meaning, unlike prostitution in America, where you get 15 minutes, okay, and you coming out of your pocket. And 15 minutes means you get one, okay, that's all you get. And you don't even get the whole 15 minutes. If you come within 30 seconds, guess what? That was it. That was your 15 minutes. You don't even get the whole 15 minutes, right? You don't get false affection. You don't get them cooking your meal, nothing. You just get in there, do what you gotta do, and go. Now, if you want the girlfriend experience in America, you have to pay thousands upon thousands of dollars for a high-class prostitute. They call them working girls or professionals. They have, there's levels to prostitution, right? You got your streetwalkers, you got your, the strip club chicks, you got your, your back page and your freaking Craigslist females. Then you got your creme de la creme, right? They deal with the politicians and the big men with money, and the escort services where you're coming out of thousands upon thousands of dollars to get that girlfriend experience. But most passport bros, they don't got that kind of money, right? And they're not trying to spend that kind of money, right? So, but if they go overseas, they can, because their American dollars is leverage, they can get that same experience in another country, right? In Brazil, and here's the funny thing. People look at Brazil as it's one of the most exotic places. Even though Brazilians are a combination of what? Native Americans, black people, and white colonizers. What's the combination in America? Native Americans, Africans, and white colonizers. So the makeup of the African American woman and the genetic makeup of the African American woman and the genetic makeup of the Brazilian and the Colombian and the Dominican are the same thing. Native American, black, and European. It's the same combo. What brings the exoticness to it is the language. Oh, Portuguese sounds sexy to someone not used to Portuguese. Spanish with the Dominican accent sounds sexy to someone not used to the Dominican accent. Colombian women sound sexy without, somebody who's not used to that Colombian accent, right? So when we're talking about South American, Central American, those places like that, to an African American, they ain't never been nowhere and would call themselves a passport, bro. You see, I'm a passport professional. I'm on my 4th passport. You understand? I'm on my 4th passport. I'm a professional. I would never call myself a passport bro. But that became a trend because these guys figured out they can travel and pay for prostitutes, right? But they pretend like they're going to these countries like they got some sort of game. They don't have game. And the thing is, when you go to these countries like Brazil and Colombia, the women make you feel good because they're playing them, right? So a man can go to Brazil and feel like he's the man, feels like he's charismatic, feel like he's balling, feel like he's accepted, feel like he's loved by these Latino women. Therefore, they like those women because those women make them feel good, even though from the woman's perspective, every American with their money is nothing but a mark, a sucker, and you're just one of many, okay? Thailand is the king of passport. White men have been going to Thailand to do all manners of debauchery, including the underage kind, all right, for decades, okay? Men traveling for sex is very old. Even white women do it, all right? Black women do it too. Black women and white women go to Africa for the sex trade, or they go to Jamaica in the Caribbean, where the men on the beaches will provide them with sexual services, for some payola, right? So black women go to the Caribbean to seek out Caribbean men, or they go to like Ghana, or they go to the Gambia, or they go to places like that where they're African American men, because black women love black men. They don't. Black women love masculine men. That's why they don't go to Europe for sex travel. They don't go to Asia for sex travel because those men are not masculine enough for them, as the black man is the most masculine of all men, right? And plus, the stereotype is, but which is not necessarily true, but we do have more motion in that ocean, if you know what I mean. We tend to please better than others, right? It's just what it is, right? So women go to Africa and the Caribbean to get their rocks off, including British women. They stay going to the Gambia, right? So sex tourism is a big deal. So passport bros are just new sex tourists. So the thing is, when Austin Hollerman was going to all these places, he was a sex tourist disguised as a passport bro. So he'll go to a bar and do all these things and hit on women, thinking that it was just that it was the women in America that was a problem, when in fact it was lack of charisma was the issue. And the thing is, and what happened when he went to Africa is that even though Africa does have somewhat of a sex tourism slightly, you know, for women towards men, but it's not as robust as Africa is a very conservative continent, right? And they don't play that when it comes to that shit for the most part, right? The men get away with it because it's a man-run place. I mean, men just get away with it, right? But when it comes to women, it's not as robust as South America, Central America, and Thailand, where it's a profession. It's just legal. They got like insurance and shit, right? And you got Europe, where they got a whole freaking a full industry of prostitution, right? Where a man can feel wonderful, all he has to do is money, right? So Austin Hollerman had built a crowd, built his audience off men who lived vicariously through him and many other passport bros who were traveling to various different countries and seeing exotic women that were slightly different from the women they see in their neighborhoods. But the thing about Africa is African women look just like those African American women because those are the same women. Even though African women look just like those Brazilians and those Colombians and the rest of them, but the passport bros tend to go towards the yellow variety, the light or the white variety, right? For a visual contrast. And those black ones who already hate black women because they feel like they've been rejected, you know, by those black women because they don't have charisma, by the way. That's usually what it is. If you notice, most passport bros are socially awkward, right? So Austin Hollerman tried to reframe himself in Africa, right? And he stayed there too long. So his audience got bored. You see, Austin Hollerman, he was getting, when he was traveling around, he was getting views, man. Because every incel, socially awkward guy who subscribed to Austin Hollerman because he was their window into sexual exploitation around the world, they were into that. That's why he was getting those views. That's why he was raking in that money. But he settled into Africa for his own personal comfort, where he's enjoying Africa and the women and all those things, even though he has not successfully found a woman to keep, right? And that is the common denominator out of all these men who supposedly are going and telling you how wonderful all these women are. These passport bros can never find a good woman and settle down with them because that's not their intention. Their intention is to have sex with as many women as possible and make it as easy as possible. Therefore, usually it takes money. So Austin Hollerman, who doesn't have a job, right? His money, his sole income, you know, if he's not, unless he's cutting hair or something, because I know that's his profession, his sole income is YouTube and, you know, showing dudes, you know, who have less charisma than him, who are more socially awkward than him, showing them how to come out here and they can have a good time. But the problem is his subscribers don't want to see that shit. His subscribers want to see him go to Brazil and have sex with white Brazilian women or light-skinned Brazilian women with wavy hair. His subscribers want to see him in Colombia having sex with light-skinned black women with exotic accents. His subscribers want to see him in Thailand having sex with Asian women. Okay, that's what his subscribers want to see him in the bars, in the buy me drinky bars, in the clubs, doing the nightlife. That's what they want to see. That's what they pay him to see. That's what he gets super chats to see. They don't want to see Austin Hollerman in Africa, right? 24/7 in every video, right? Talking about African women who look just like and act just like African women, no matter where that African woman is. You see, an African woman acts like an African woman, no matter where that African woman is. Okay? So if that African woman is in America and she's called an African American woman, she's gonna have that little bit, she's gonna have a little attitude, right? Right? And if you're socially awkward and you don't have that charisma to handle that, you're not gonna be successful. Same thing in Africa. Them African women, all right, they're exactly the same way. They may be more feministic in their traditions, in their conservatism, but for the most part, they're gonna act just like the African American women. Same attitude. They ain't got no cut cards. What you say, and they not playing. And those African women are looking for husbands, not somebody just to have sex with them and move on, right? Unless you're a rich white guy, and then they're all over that. I mean, we know that's how, there's a lot of women in Kenya that roll like that. That's just, I mean, if you balling, I don't care where you at. All right, a woman's probably gonna, they're gonna see that and they might take advantage. That's what it is. But so Austin Hollerman, since he's been in Kenya, if you notice his video, if you even watch him, right? He just comes across if you notice his views have been drastically down. And then he started trying to talk about pro-black stuff, Pan-African stuff, things that's not his lane, right? His subscriber base didn't come to see any of that shit. All right, they don't want to hear about none of that shit he talking about right now. That's why he's getting less views. That's why now he's complaining and making videos that says African-American men don't like African women, which is 100% bullshit. African men absolutely love African women. That's the truth. It's just that his subscribers don't want to see African women because those African women look just like the ones in their neighborhood who they can't get. Do you understand? That's the situation. There's nothing exotic about things that look like you. And that's the issue. And they don't equate African accents with exoticness. The only Africans that these passport bros and the people who love to watch passport bros, they only like those East Africans that look Ethiopian because they look slightly exotic, a little bit different from the standard African woman that they're used to looking at that they can't get because they don't have charisma because they're socially awkward, right? So Austin Hollerman is either going to have to get back on a plane and start going to these other countries, right? And mingling with these women the way he was doing before, right, to satisfy his subscriber base, or he's screwed. Because no one's coming to Austin Hollerman for Pan-African advice, for pro-black advice. They're not coming there to learn shit. They want to see ass and titties. They want to see yellow ass and titties. They want to see ass and titties with accents. Ass and titties with Spanish accents. They want to see Asian ass and titties. They want to see white European ass and titties. They want to see any kind of ass and titties that's not English-speaking African people ass and titties. All right? Unless they're super light skinned with big foreheads with a slight Arabic look. That's just what it is. That's the truth. I've always noticed that. I was like, damn. As soon as he went over there, I was like, yeah, look at he like, I know he enjoys Africa. His subscriber bases don't enjoy Africa. So that means Austin's going to diversify his income. Because now you got to crank out a ton of videos to make up for the lack of viewership and participation and, super chats and all that shit he used to get when he would have some random European chick come up to him and shit, and he could talk to him and either get lucky or not get lucky, whether he got the money or not get lucky, whatever, and that's just the name of the game. So Austin got to get back on the road, get back on that plane and start bouncing around and go find these women that look different from the women that's in the subscribers that he has neighborhood. So that's all I got to say, because if you think you're gonna go back to that whole gaslighting titles by saying African men don't like African women, which is complete and total bullshit, because to real African American men with charisma, we love African women because they are exotic to us, and we like black women. We like black women that look like the women in our neighborhoods. We like Caribbean women who are dark skinned. We like Brazilian and Colombian women who are dark. We like dark skin. Real African Americans that got swag, we like dark skin. The blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. It's those weird, socially awkward ones that could never get that fine ass dark skin, woman that want to see all those women who they perceive as easy, like Asians, easy like Colombians, easy like Dominicans, easy because you are nothing but an economic opportunity to these women because they don't actually like you. They just like the money that you got in your pocket. All right. And that is the truth. Because if you go look for a real Dominican that's not a hoe, that's not a prostitute, guess what? And she black, she gonna have that same attitude as that African American. And I guarantee you no passport bro who's socially awkward will be able to successfully snatch one up. Same in Colombia, same in Brazil. And even if you go to Asia, a non-prostitute Asian Thailand woman is not taking that socially awkward bullshit, because even if you can pull off being a normal individual for a little while, after a while, your social awkwardness will start to seep out, and that is very unattractive to a real woman. That's just what it is. All right. So this is me replying to, him saying that African American men don't like African women. No, that's your subscribers don't like African women, and that's a issue that you're gonna have to deal with while you're in Africa living your best life. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan.
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.